Hi, I'm an EMT as of writing this, but as this takes place, I was a student doing an ambulance ride out with the local fire department. We have an hourly minimum as students to go and learn with them and take calls. On my official last day of rideouts, I chose a Friday night shift, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. I live in a busy-ish, smaller city in Texas. Most of our calls at this station would occur later into the night, so it was common for us to sit around waiting for nighttime. I was taking notes for class when we got dispatched to an unknown status female under a bridge. This isn't unusual, as we have a big homeless population, and callers will see them on the road and think something is wrong. Often they'll just be drunk, or sometimes we have to give them Narcan if they've OD'd. I was very excited, not because of someone hurt, obviously, but because of the adrenaline rush. Walking out onto scene, we were dispatched to a residence, but not a house. It was a collection of tents intricately connected together under a big main highway road. Walking closer, the EMT, medic, and I found who our patient was. Initially, she had her back turned towards us and she was sitting down crisscross style, so we were unable to see what she was doing. She looked very busy, like she was sawing or doing something odd directly in front of her. She was sitting in a wet ditch, slightly away from her residence. It smelled terrible, but I chalked it up to poor living conditions. We tried to get her to speak to us, and she cussed and shooed us away without turning around. Walking up, we finally realized what she had been doing. At first glance, I noticed her legs and feet. She had discolored ankles and feet in unnatural shades of purple, yellow, and green tones. Towards the toes, there was raw red flesh, slowly bleeding and inflamed. I didn't recognize what she was holding at first, as I was too distracted by her feet. At this moment, my medic was talking to her, trying to comprehend what the hell was happening and to get her to want transport. She was cutting off her toes with a pair of kitchen scissors. The feet had necrotized, and she was brutally hacking away at her flesh and toes with the most blunt pair of scissors I've ever seen. On her left foot, her rotted flesh had toe bones sticking out. She had completed degloved her toes, and we were unable to find them on scene. On her right foot, she had been successful at fully amputating the toe bones and left a grossly rotted stump of necrotic flesh. Again, not able to find the remnants. Despite the gruesome injury, she was not in pain, assumingly from the flesh necrotizing. She was also arguing my paramedic down, saying that she did not need to go to the hospital. It took about 30 minutes to get her to at least come inside the ambulance. Unfortunately, the medic and I were the unlucky ones to sit in the back with her while the EMT transported. Before transport, however, the smell was overwhelming, and my medic had to briefly step out and throw up before going en route. I am still unsure why I didn't get sick. It was really bad. I do have a background in mortuary transport, though, so a bonus from that job. With her on the stretcher and with better lighting, we were able to fully see the damage she had done to her feet. The entire time she was arguing that she wouldn't need an amputation, that cutting her toes off and wrapping bandages around them got rid of the gangrene. I looked at her injuries more closely and saw there were bugs in her skin. Not big ones, but the movement was present, and that's how I noticed them. We didn't want to make her angrier than she was, so we didn't take any vitals or ask too many questions. The stench was absolute insanity. Upon arrival to the hospital, an ED doctor I'd seen a few times during clinicals took over. The patient was very excitingly screaming about her removal of her toes directly into the doctor's face. We sprayed everything and wiped literally every surface of the ambulance with disinfectant. Directly after, we left and got food from Zaxby's. It's crazy to say, but her feet with the tiny bones sticking out looked like chicken bones, or it looked like discolored ribs. Also, the patient had a bunch of Nazi tattoos on her, and the day prior, the fire department had been out on her for a similar call before she hacked off her toes. She had been screaming racist profanities and slurs at one of the responding EMS, and she apparently had an entire handle of Tito's to drink. While I don't think this is the scariest thing to ever happen, I certainly was unnerved, seeing as I'd only responded to car wrecks, DV in medical issues so far. Sometimes I'll just randomly have images of her feet pop into my mind.